So Vayomer, without warning, Moshe Rabbeinu tells Aaron, again, Moshe couldn't be the one to hit the ground. Stretch out your hand and whack the ground, and it turned into kinim. So Vayasu, so they did so. Vayet Aaron es yodoi b'mateu, vayach es afa haaretz, v'atihia kinom ba'odom uva behema. It was on man and on the animals. Kol afa haaretz, hayakinim b'choleres b'sham. The entire earth, all the earth of Mitzrayim turned into lice. How deep did it go? Ellie, do you know how deep it went? How deep in the ground did it go? The kinim. So all the earth in Mitzrayim, the offer, turned into lice. How deep was that? So anyone know how deep do we put a body in the ground when we bury someone? Is it 6 foot?
Depends where. I think in Israel less.
No, Israel's a bit less, is it? Is it more?
Tell you why? Because they bury them all on mountains. So then, if it goes and rains, and they get what you call it, then the infection from the dead bodies go down the hill. Then it can cause.
Is that pshat? Is that the reason?
Yeah,
No, but
water.
yeah.
We can convince ourselves it is.
No, I thought Israel would do it low because of the coffins.
In Israel, they actually do a split grave, 2-level grave. They put the body in a talus, not wrapped in a talus, just wrapped in a tachrichin on the lower part. Because there's no coffin, so it's not nice to shove all the earth on top of the body. So they put concrete blocks. They're less than a tefah, more than a tefah, so it's not tumah rutzutza, so kohenim can fly over. It blocks out the tumah. Then on the second level, they cover in all the dirt, all the dust. So that's what they do. Eretz Yisrael. Okay, but how? So now it must have been at least 6 foot deep in kinim. How do we know? It must have been at least 6 foot deep kinim. How do you know it got to the level of a body, Ellie? They couldn't do it. Well, they couldn't copy it, so it means there was nothing available to copy it. Could be. Oh, very good. Yaakov Avinu, one of the 3 reasons he didn't want to be buried in Mitzrayim was because Sofa Alpha Aliyah's kinim. He didn't want kinim crawling over his body. Now he knew his body was going to remain intact. Great tzaddikim, their bodies remain intact. So that's how deep it went. It's 6 foot deep. So basically, you were swimming up to your eyeballs in kinim if you walked in the street. Now it gets better. What is cement made out of, or mortar made out of? Earth, soil, sand, whatever mixed with water. That also turns to kinim. It says kol afa haaretz. Anywhere where there was a bit of offer in Mitzrayim turned into kinim. So it's 6 foot deep. Now, it's very interesting. The human body produces 3 types of lice. Some from the skin, some from the hair. 3 types of lice. But there's actually, Chazal say 14 types of lice came. Now, it came out of the bodies. It says very clearly in the pasuk. It doesn't say Vayavoyu hakinim al ha'adam. V'atihi hakinam ba'adam, in the people. Uva beheman, in the animals. Kol afa ha'aretz hayakinim b'chol eretz Mitzrayim. So first I'll read out these couple of these midrashim. We'll say, what's the midah connecting midah of kinim? Yeah, each makkah, besides being teaching him, Ani Hashem, and the boss, there's also a punishment midah connecting midah. Says the Medrash. This is the Talmud of Be'elio. Mipnei ma ba'alehem. Why did the kinim come on them? Mipnei shesomu es yisol machabdim drachim. They made the Jews sweep the streets, or bottom of the houses, v'sados chutzos v'rechavos. They made the Jews clean up. Brush the earth out of the houses, do the gardening, and it says ha'ish. They were dafkin nasty. The ha'ish hayamuchrach lechabe beis isha. The dafkin got the men to clean the women's quarters. The ha'ish mechabed is beis isha. The women to clean the men's quarters because they knew that affects the sensitivity of klal of sunuim, and that would be a breach of sneer. So again, calculated cruelty. The fikach. Anywhere where they had a benefit from the Jews was taken away. Next reason, they wouldn't let the Jews have showers, go to the public merachats. And the primary, I looked up online today, the primary cause of kinim on a human body is lack of sanitation, lack of sanitary conditions. It comes out of the skin, it actually grows in the skin, it then grows into the clothes and everything. That is the basic, the main cause. The wouldn't let the Jews wash themselves. The Jews were affected with kinim, but the figa gama mitzrayim not be kinim. So therefore they got them as well. And then he brings the again tons of there were 14 types of kinim. And then he says the chiddush. This is what I saw today. If you had plaster, what's plaster made out of? What's gypsum? What's gypsum, Martin? Gypsum plaster. Really, all it is a bit of crumbled clay or whatever from somewhere in Wales, wherever it is. It's offer, that's all it is. So whatever they smeared the walls with or in between the bricks, turns to kinim. Which probably would have meant that the structure of the houses started getting a bit shaky. Okay? Shnema, b'chol gevulam. Throughout the entire border. Now, this is very interesting. Because we read this last night, I'm going to read it again tonight. It was like pricking their skin with needles. When a lice or louse bites into a person, it digs its claws in, that's what it does. It's like a little prick of a needle. But it's all over the body, so there's no menucha from it at all. Now, apparently, as I was reading today, doing a bit of research, the worst thing you can do if you've got a lice is scratch it. Mosquito bite, the worst thing you do is scratch it. Mosquito bites, you see, it starts to swell up, yeah? But if you scratch, if a person's got a lice on him, when he starts scratching it, what he actually does is he scratches off the top layer of the skin, which makes it susceptible to bacteria, and it can actually it makes it worse. They said generally, any time you itch, you shouldn't really scratch it because you run this risk. But if you do it gently, so you shouldn't take the skin off. Anyway, Shanema, now, something major happened now. If all the earth of Mitzrayim turns to kinim, no one's making bricks anymore. That's the end of the brick trade. The avdus of making bricks for Paro ended with the makkah of kinim. Stop there. Okay, now he says here, Josephus, when he talks about it, he says, he talks about exactly how they did it in the front. Yeah, man was shouting the pasuk, unbelievable shouting the pasuk. It says, "Vatiyakinam ba'adam of Abahema." There arose out of the bodies of the Egyptians an innumerable quantity of lice, by which, wicked as they were, they miserably perished. And listen to this. And they were not able to destroy this vermin either with washing their bodies or with ointments. It didn't help to put medicine on it. It didn't help to put cream on the body.
Just jumped in bleach.
Didn't help. He said, now that's where you get an interesting response now from Paro. No, not yet. It's the next one. But he says, Vayasu, now the Chatumim tried. So Vayasu came Chatumim v'lotem l'hoitzis hakinim v'lo yochaylu. They tried to bring out kinim and they weren't able to. So the question is, why not? So Rashi brings a chazal. Rashi says,
they tried to stop it or
no, it says l'hoitzis to bring out kinim. To create more. Moshe Rabbeinu sort of brought them on, so they will try and copy it. The height is to bring out, not to drive out. It's to bring out. Right? I think Reverse points that out as well. It was a bit illogical. So many kidding. What do you want more for? But they're trying to make Moshe Rabbeinu. And look what happened. So again, it stresses Vatiyah kinam ba'adam uvabehema. So the Ramban, so Chazal say that kinim are so small, kishuv doesn't work on that size of an item. So the Ramban has got a drasha in the Kisvei Ramban. He has a wonderful question. He said, if the Chatzumim can't do Kishuv on such a small item, so why did they even try? They knew the rules of Kishuv, Eli. They knew the rules. You know how to work in boxing, Eli? Yeah? If you're heavyweight, can you fight with a middleweight?
Yeah.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
No, you can't. You can't go into a ring with a middleweight. If you're heavyweight, it's very, very, very legislated according to the weight. So a heavyweight doesn't even think of going into the ring with a middleweight. It's a non-starter. So why did the Chatzumim, that's the Ramban, even try and copy it? It's not something they have shlita on, and they knew the rules of Kishuv. So you know what the Ramban says, David Nifla? He said, if you're really, really, really good at Kishuv, if you're a real expert, you can do it. And the Kodesh Baruch Hu wanted to show them, even the very best Mechashvim can't beat me. So he said, the Spitz, the very best of the Chatzumim, they were the real experts. They tried to, but they were able to. Kodesh Baruch Hu showed them, when I want Kishuv to work, it will work. When I want Kishuv not to work, it won't work. So now these are the best of the Chatzumim. You can imagine the professors of Kishuv. It says the Chatzumim, the guys who had the degree in Kishuv from Khartoum. So they threw the towel in. The third round, they were already out. And they backed off. So you would have thought Paro would listen to his best advisors. No, didn't listen. It's illogical now. He's lost his biggest supporters, his biggest backers. Yeah? The ones who he's going to use to try and discredit Moshe Rabbeinu.
Also the Chatzumim not here. Not only to Moshe.
So the Chatzumim, that's right, yeah. Oh, very good, it's good deal. Very good deal. Not allowed to Moshe Aaron, to the Chatzumim. Very good, very good. Now, listen to this. So he says here, when he describes it, what he suggests it's a tick. Now, I checked it out today. These ticks, if they get into your... Yeah. So he says here, he quotes, yeah, this little animal, even though it's very small, is exceedingly annoying, for not only does it spoil the appearance, creating unseemly and injurious itching, it also penetrates into the innermost parts, entering the nostrils and the ears, flies into the eyes, injures the pupils, unless one takes great care. And what care could be taken against so extensive a plague, especially when it was God who was inflicting this punishment? Sorry?
Tetos.
Yeah, there's another example that went, yeah, penetrated. Now, he brings here, they want to say it's the tick. So it's somewhere. Or gnat. They give all fancy names for it, all different translations. But Al Kaponim, they, the Chatzumim, who were very, very particular. Okay, so now we move on to the next stage of the Makos. The next stage, now this is very interesting. What was Orov? I'm going to catch you all out tonight, guys. What was Orov? The gentleman at the back there, what was Orov? What's his name? Elisha. What was Orov? Is it Gabriel? Yeah? What was Orov? Everyone says wild animals, yeah? That's what we learn in school. That's what we learn in Cheder, yeah? Wow. Would anybody put money on a bet? Whether it was wild animals or not? Well, if I'm offering it, obviously, then I must know something, yeah? Yeah, don't gamble. Oh, so that's what Rashi says, yeah? Rashi means the man, right?
I thought that the calm animals became wild.
Could also be. So we always grew up, Rashi says, what's Orov? Rashi says, and we all know this Rashi. Where is it? Orov. Rashi says, Kol minei chayes rois, all types of wild animals, unechoshim. What's nechoshim? Snakes. Akravim. What are they? Scorpions. Which is the poisonous scorpion? The yellow or the black?
Yellow.
The yellow. Ali knows. Be'irbuvia. That's the Orov. It's a complete mush. Now, normally animals by and large keep to their own species, and here they're all going to come in a big mush. So that's Orov. That's taruvus. Hilda's taruvus means basically mixing up milk and inflation. Yeah, you mix the two things together. So Orov means to create a mixture. Now, this shows you you got to do your research sometimes before you machavek something. So he brings here. So now the next stage of the Makos is to teach hashgacha pratis, because there, i.e., not on the Yidden, even though it was done with animals which don't normally differentiate and don't stop at traffic lights.
Other Makos did affect you?
There's a big debate. There's an Eben Ezra, a big chiddush in the Eben Ezra. So some of them it did. Unless the Torah says with something produced,
specifies, but
it did.
Not by the other one.
Yeah. There's the Eben Ezra. I think the first three they were affected by it, or there was an impact on the Yid. I mean, yeah. So I don't know if everyone agrees with Eben Ezra. Sorry.
But Dam was affected for good.
Yeah. But it's very, very interesting. So I think everyone disagrees with it. I think everyone says no. Clearly, it was only for the mitzvah. But there's an Eben Ezra who's from. He says.
Why would Yaakov not want to be buried in Mitzrayim if it was only for Mitzrayim?
I mean, he wasn't buried in the Chedek. Where would he have been buried? That's the Chedek. You'd have to say that he would have been buried in Mitzrayim, not Goshen. You'd have to say that. They would have insisted he
So
was
it's
buried.
pretty clear that affected the some of them.
Oh, that's a good riot. That's a riot. It would have been. Very good.
Why did they make
Very
a
good.
runner when they buried him?
Sorry?
Why did they make a runner when they buried him?
Why did they make a runner?
Yeah.
No, they got Rishus.
Yes, just.
Yeah, you can even get into Israel today for a funeral.
Can you?
Yeah, 24 hours. Yeah.
Right, who wants to die?
No, it's like it does with that. Right, now, so the next three are to teach Hashgacha Pratis. Now, this is very interesting. He says, yeah, they, again, this is written by from Goy. So at first glance, when I first saw it, I thought, what's face there? Yeah, he's not learning Chumash Rashi. He's learning the Chumash, but he's not learning Rashi. So he wants to say, because it doesn't say what, it says, Moshe goes back out to the water. Then now it says, go get up early. The first time it says, go out to meet Paro in the water with Makkah of Dam. Now it says something very different, Eddie. It says, Hashkein Paro. Get up early and go and confront Paro by the water. Why did he have to get up early this time? So Paro realized Moshe Rabbeinu knows what time he goes to the water. So Paro set his alarm clock earlier to avoid Moshe Rabbeinu.
Why did he still need to go to the...
Well, obviously, that was a shower. It wasn't for the toilet anymore. It was for the shower. Yeah. So, because Schwalbe said to Moshe, "Get up early. He's going earlier to the water tomorrow morning, and let him know that I know what he's thinking. I know what he's planning. I know the machshavas of a person.
Tom also proves it.
Right?
First Mac also proves it.
Yeah, but then it was like normal times. It could be everyone knew when the king goes to the water. Paro now got up earlier to avoid Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is still caught in there by the water. And by the way, his yatsev means stand in front of him and don't let him get into the water. Right? Make a matzav, yeah? Yeah? Don't let him get in. Stand right in front of him. And don't forget Moshe Rabbeinu was a big man. And Paro was a little titch, yeah? So it was quite domineering over Paro when he stood in front of him. So it doesn't say... It says, Koyam Hashem shalach ami v'yavduni. Ki im ein chom shalach esam, if you don't send them out, hineni mashliach b'cha u'va'avotecha u'va'amcha u'va'votecha es he'oroiv. It doesn't actually say oroiv of what. Now, the Rashbam says something very interesting. The word oroiv, he brings a pasuk in Tanakh, is a wild wolf. Now, wolves are actually particularly
What's
vicious.
called the dogs.
So,
The type of dog that is very vicious. What are they called? No, the ones that, hyenas.
it's in the dog family.
Yeah.
Alright, but apparently min oroiv, the Rashbam says, is min ze'evim, particularly wild wolf. Okay. So, he brings here a very interesting thing. He makes an observation. He said, Moshe Rabbeinu uses a word with no accompanying noun to tell us what the swarm consisted of. So he starts saying it's flies, types of flies. He said, most English translations say some type of flies. He said, some say swarms of insects. Some say beetles. Now, some would say it's called the dog fly, which is apparently a very particularly vicious type of fly. Yeah, he said, he said this corresponds to the modern gadfly or march fly it has a very painful bite. Others say it's a dog fly. Alright, so he keeps on going on about these dogs. So I thought, what's the face and say? What do they know? Actually, it's Mefurish. It was everything, all wild animals. But, from a Machtavet, you should go look if you I looked at the Medrash Rabbah. Martin, you will not believe it. Yeah. Listen to this. The opinion that it was wild animals is Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Nechemia Omer. Rabbi Nechemia says, Minei Tzeroim v'yatushim. Flies and hornets and bees and wasps. Yeah, it's taking shit as Rabbi Nechemia. So, the Medrash carries on. We've got a raya for Rabbi Yehuda, it was wild animals, because it said not one of the orov remained in Mitzrayim. So Chazal say, Kadesh lo yehenu mi'oram. The frogs, if they had died there, just rotted, they got no benefit from it. If the animals would have died, they would have been nehemeh from the leather, the skins. So he says the Medrash, if it's like Rabbi Nechemia, it was insects and spiders and hornets and bees, what hanah can you get from the skin? So from there, the Medrash wants to say Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, so Rashi's gone with Rabbi Yehuda, because the Medrash is Machriya shtickle like Rabbi Yehuda. So that's why we say wild animals and we go with Rabbi Yehuda. But the Meister, she does Rabbi Nechemia, also Tana, it was Minei Tzeroy V'Atushu. So it's not unreasonable, this translation of a mixture of these things. Now, I looked into Josephus. He used to say the same thing. He's also going with Rabbi Nechemia. He said, he filled the country full of various sorts of pestilential creatures. I think the English is even harder than the Latin. He wrote it in. Don't know who translated it. He said, with their various properties, such indeed as had never come into the sight of men before, by whose means the men perished themselves, and the land was destitute of husbandmen for its cultivation. There was a lack of farmers. So he seems to also go with Shittas from Nehemiah. He must have had a shtickle Messiah. He lived at the time of the Tanai. He might have lived at the time of Rabbi Yehuda and Nehemiah. Maybe a little bit before. But so he also had this Kabbalah that it was some sort of pest which we associate nowadays with bees' nests and things like that. We call it a pest control, yeah? I think that's what it's generally refers to. It refers to rats and rodents as well, but okay. So now, here we are. So now, a swarm of animals or these pests don't stop at the end of the road, do they? They just go everywhere. So now Kodesh Baruch Hu says, now you're going to see something extra spectacular. What are you going to see? I'm going to differentiate. On that day, the land of Goshen, Asher Ami Oimeid Aleha, where my people, because Baruch was already referring to Klal Yisrael as my people, Oimeid Aleha, Levilti Heyosham Orov. Now, which is going to be a bigger miracle now? If the lions and the tigers stop at the border, the elephants stop there, all these thousands of flies and wasps in this hot country, Egypt, so they're everywhere. So it might have been a bigger indication of Hashgacha Pratis if it was the little insect. But Lamaisa, lions and tigers also don't stop just because they see a sign saying Goshen. Right? They don't stop.
Why is there idea?
What?
Why is there idea?
The Vilti Heyosh Shom Orov.
No.
The first one.
Get.
No. So that sounds like it's more a species, a min yuchad. Okay, very good. Yeah, Chanami. He Orov, it's the Hey idea. Yeah. Very good. It's good horror. Sounds like the Rashbam. Maybe that's what the Rashbam, if you the chat learns, it was a min yuchad, right? Yeah. It's good horror.
Isn't there a chat that was the animal that was connected to the ground?
That's another one, yeah. Now, what are you going to learn now? What are you going to learn with this Hashgacha process? Either come in or go out, but it's disturbing to come in and out. It says like this, Leman Teda, you're going to learn lesson number 2. Ki ani Hashem, I am Hashem, not just the creator of all existence, Bekerev ha'aretz. Right here, right down here on ground level. Ground zero, what do they call it? Yeah, right on the ground. And then he says again, as he repeats it, V'samti pitus bein ami u'bein amecha. I'm going to make a distinction between my people and your people. He said that already. Ve'eflesi b'yemahu. Says the Ramban, big difference. The first time it says, I'm going to separate between Goshen and Mitzrayim. But what would happen if a Yid walked into Mitzrayim? Would he be affected by the Makkah? That's the second posture. No, he wouldn't. So the lion would come, gobble up the Mitzri, and leave the Yid next to him alone. That's Pedus. Okay?
Somewhere as well that the Eden got closer. They managed to get very close to a man, pet them.
Yeah, of course it would be. Yeah, if they left them alone, why not? Yeah. Okay.
תוס זה הפרדה או שמירה?
שמתי פדוס, זה כמו פדיון, לא? פדוס. So again, Vayaz Hashem came, Vayav, it happened the next day. How long did the kinnim last for? It doesn't say how long the kinnim lasted. Days, so 7 days. With Choshech, 3 days like this, 3 days like that.
Every person different.
So until it bit in every part of their bodies, it done its job, and then they went. So 1 second to the next, they all went. Seems to be. There's no actual mention of how long it lasted for. Okay, so Paro now starts to cave in. Vayikra Paro al Moshe la'ar vayomer lechu zivchu lelekechem ba'aretz. All right, go and find a quiet place, quiet part of Egypt, and go offer your kabbalah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalach ami v'yavduni. That's serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Moshe Rabbeinu said something quite amazing. He said, you can't do something, you can't serve Hashem if it's going to offend other people's sensitivities. Even though they're wrong in what they're doing, he said, Lo nachon. What does lo nachon mean? It's not asa, but it's not right. He said, look, we offer up sheep. The locals respect the sheep. They're not going to take it very kindly if we do that in their locality.
In the hand they take a sheep and tie it to the bed.
That was the dafka to rub their noses in it, because then they were leaving, but now they're going to still be there for a while. It's still there for another 6 months. That was the Leila Yitzir when they went out. So he says like this: Vayomer Moshe lo nochon la'asis kein. No, it's not right. Ki toyavas Mitzrayim, the abomination of Mitzrayim, nizbach. We are toyeva. Did he say? So what did he say? So he said that's what I was referring to. Says probably to Paro, he didn't say the word Toyeva. He just said what you worship is not what we do. You know, we offer what we offer to Hashem. You wouldn't touch. He would have said it in a more respectful manner because he was told to be respectful to Paro. He was told to be very respectful to him. Okay, let's move on. So he asked for 3. I would have granted these. Would they have come back? Was that a genuine request, or was it a confidence trick on Paro? Give us let us out and make a runner for it. All right. Shaggy's runner.
Hashem knew anyway, he wasn't going to listen.
Okay. So the Medrash says it was midah kedeged midah. They made them avodim. It started off nice, and went sour. Yeah, that morah. So who did he? Because Baruch asked him nicely, "Can we go for 3 days?" We made a runner. Midah kedeged midah. The same way you did it, we can do the same. We can do the same shtick. That's what the Medrash says. It wasn't genuine. They wouldn't have come back. Now. So Paro says, all right, okay, I'll let you go, I'll let you shech, but just don't go too far. Don't go too far. And then he davens ha'atiru ba'adi. So we mentioned yesterday, ha'atiru in davening means complete removal of midas hadin to midas harachamim. Complete removal of the problem. And this time Moshe Rabbeinu does daven ha'atiru. With the Svardeya, says, Vayitzak Moshe. Because he asked the Kosh Baruch to take some and leave some. So he needed a very powerful tefillah. But here, he said, okay, I'll daven, then they should all go. So he says, V'ha'atarti el Hashem, I'll daven, it should be removed completely. V'sah ha'oroi mi parim mi avodim mi macha, it'll all be tomorrow. But he warns him, stop messing me about. Yeah, he said, don't mess about. So he goes out, Vayet el Hashem. We learn from here, Hashem listens to our tefillah, this is one of the Yisodis of Yisrael Mitzrayim. Vayas Hashem kidva Moshe, not one remained. So again, Paro played to form. Now we had a breathing space. He said, no, you're not going. Now, to the average Mitzri, when the Makkah went away, what did he think? What did he think? What was he thinking? Did he think Hashem brought it and Hashem took it away? Or did he think, no, God of the Jews brought it? But after 7 days struggle, yeah, their Avodah Zarah has managed to push him back. So how did it work? Were they mad and Hashem brought it and then Hashem took it away? Or did they think, no, the Avodah Zarah has overpowered him after a few days?
The next one arrived straight away.
So there's a bit of a proof for it, because at the Yam Suf it says, Vayaminu b'Hashem v'Vayishavdoi. They believed in Hashem. So the answer is, well, yeah. So why? Because they were also influenced by these Avodah Zarah. But now when they saw Mitzrayim was now knocked out, finished. Finito. So now Vayaminu b'Hashem, because till then, the person who's steeped in Avodah Zarah could have thought, Hashem did this, he pushed him back. Hashem did this, he pushed him back. And now when it's Mitzrayim completely gone, the knockout punch. So now Vayaminu b'Hashem and Moshe Avdei. Now the emunah was complete. So it seems to be people, maybe the Erev Rav believed it, but to the onlooker, right, it could be easily misinterpreted, especially a non-believer, that his Avodah Zarah managed to do a good job. Now, it says here. He said Hashem made a distinction between his people and the Egyptians. He says, again, this is Tish Hashkacha Pratis. Now listen to this, beautiful. He said, here Hashem's distinction between his own people and those who do not belong to him is shown by his control of nature. Although flies and other swarming insects cannot naturally discriminate by nationality or political boundaries in deciding on whom they will land and whose skin they will bite, but nationality and political boundary was exactly the basis for the plaguing or non-plaguing of the Orov. Here then is brought overtly to the reader's attention the fact that the plagues, far from being natural phenomena naturally produced, were nature turned on its head. That's exactly what Hashem wanted to do. Turn the Tava on its head. Nature ordered by its creator to act in an abnormal way that were ominously frightening for the Mitzrayim. Wonderful, now he says here, this was now a big chizuk for the Yidden. Wonderfully reassuring for the Yidden and clearly evidential of a divine, mighty act in service of a divine demand. The preferential treatment shown to Klal Yisrael demonstrates that the plague was against Egypt itself. It now became clear who HaKadosh Baruch Hu was punishing. Now, he talks here again about which Avodah Zarahs it would have been. He said, very interesting, there were known to be certain Avodah Zarahs which were in the shape of a scarab or a dung beetle. He brings to which ones they were, and they found images of them in some of the temples in Egypt. So he says it's very possible, if we're going to go, the Orov was these insects, that was the Avodah Zarahs which it now destroyed. Okay, so he brings here, what's the Midah Keneged Midah of Orov? The Romans had a great form of entertainment. What was it? What was the Roman entertainment? They had big stadiums, stadii is the plural, and they filled it up with hundreds of thousands of spectators. And then you bring in guys chained, and then you let loose the lions and the tigers. It's great fun to watch a lion chase after a guy who's got no chance of survival and watch him gobble him up. That was you paid money to watch that. That was great fun. Probably bought a program, and you bought a coffee and an Eccles, what do you call it, a pasty. And that was a good day out in Rome. The Mitzrayim did exactly the same things for the Yidden, but they made the Yidden go and catch the wild animals. Says the Medrash, Lama hevi aleim Orov. Why did he bring Orov? Lefi shoyimim li Yisrael tzu'u v'haviu lanu dubim aroyos unameirim. Go and get bears, lions, and leopards all. Kidei liyos mitzrayim to shtech the Yidden. Lefikach hevi aleim chayos mu'uro. Therefore these wild animals are brought. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. And then it says like this: they would say to the Yidden, bring them into our stadiums, place where the gladiators used to fight. And we'll have all the fun we want watching people fight these wild animals. The idea was to keep the Yidden away from their homes, שיהיו ישרול במדברס החיציינים של ייכנסו בסויך בותיהם ויפרו וירבו. Therefore, לפיכך הביא הקדוש ברוך הוא עליהם כל חי הזרוע שבעולם. Every wild animal in the world was brought. So here, as you mentioned before, there's very interesting. It says like this: when the Orach came, it says, he said, also the land which they are on. So he said, lions and tigers don't come out of the jungles. They don't. That's the way Hashem made it, or whatever. I don't know what the reason is, but they don't. They've got to feel secure before they go on a hunt. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought them all, not just the animals to Mitzrayim, but they came with their habitat. So anyone who was in the jungle came with its jungle. The polar bears came with their ice blocks, and each animal came with its habitat where it was happy to start attacking human beings. It'll only do it if it feels secure in its natural position. So that was always part of the nace, that they not only saw the animals coming from all over the place, but the fact that parts of planet Earth shifted, the climates came with them as well, to show I can do what I want, where I want, right down here on planet Earth. That's what they had to learn. All right. Okay. The next one, just quickly finish off with the next one, is Dever. Again, a pestilence. We call it pestilence, yeah? Very posh word, little kids used to come home and say, Dever's pestilence. But it says here, calls it diseased livestock. Sounds a little bit more, know what we're talking about. He said like this. He said, if you notice, primarily the first 4 plagues afflicted the people mainly. They were uncomfortable, but the plagues did not impact their property in any major way. But this plague was going to hurt them.
The lice affected the houses, I thought.
The lice? Yeah. It's interesting. Did the bricks? I wonder, even bricks affect plants. Very interesting. Seems not. It says, but Adam Behema. Very interesting. But it doesn't say kill them. So it's very interesting. It doesn't say kill them.
What's the point to kill them?
But now, no, he said, well, yeah, they're very interesting. So he says here something very interesting. He said the impact of this one now is going to be not only now, but for the future as well. The water's gone, the blood's gone back to water. The frogs have gone back in, or not here, they've gone. So in those areas, Egypt starts ticking again. But the impact now, if you've got no agriculture, you've got no animals or anything, the impact is now carried forward. Things like that, yeah? You got no milk, you'll have no wool.
How about for the Jews?
Well, again, this is Hashgacha Pratis, it only affected.
But since when do Jews that live in Mitzrayim work all day, and take away all their property or whatever, have animals?
They're the Jews in Goshen.
They have animals?
Yeah. Why not?
Very nice.
It says very clearly, he says, not one Jewish animal died. So he says something very interesting here. He said this plague was going to hurt them in the binifold for years to come. This is now going to be an impact. He said this plague was against the domestic animals in Mitzrayim, which would include cattle, horses, donkeys, camels, oxen and sheep. The impact on the economy of the nation would be catastrophic. Now, it's a fantastic deal. He says, for the first time, Moshe Rabbeinu calls it a heavy plague. He says, Dever Koved Ma'od. He says, it appears that the Makos are getting progressively worse, for Moshe calls this a very severe pestilence. Now, but the word you hear is Dever. Rather than meaning general calamity or affliction, as Nega seems to be, Dever can mean a plague in the medieval sense, a disease of epidemic proportions that is sure to bring death. That's why he wants to use this word. Dever is a more encompassing word of a makkah. And then he says like this here. He says, again, unlike the other plagues, this one did not have a set time for its removal. He said he suggests it probably just wore itself out. Once they were all dead, that was the end of it. So there was no other animal to die.
So which animal?
So the big kasha is, and Chazal asked this question: if all the animals of Mitzrayim died, so where later on with Borod it says, "Ayoris Devar Hashem Heinus says Miknehu," brought his cattle inside, and then the Yamsuf had all these horses to chase after the Yidden. Where did they get it all from?
Ayored.
That's later. That's later. But where did the Hayored of Hashem later have anything if already in Dever they'd all died?
They got after Jews.
Ah, very good. So one answer is after Makos Dever they bought some schora out of the Yidden, or they went to Kush and they imported some new schora. They said, or I think the Mepharshim said this pshat. Moshe Rabbeinu said very clearly, Hine Yad Hashem Hayim B'Midcha Asher Basodeh. Only if it was left out in the field, a bit like borrowed as well. Only animals left out would die. But it would affect all of the Susim, Chamorim, Gemalim, Bok and so on, but only Basodeh. So that'll be another answer.
Also, Dever, who says everything is made? קיבלו דבר, קיבלו מחלה, לא כולם מתו.
לא, כתוב. כתוב, שכחת.
לא הגיש שם.
ויומוס כל מגני מצרים. No, אתה מסכים? Yeah, they all died. So now, again it says the Hashgacha process. V'hiflo Hashem will differentiate bei miknei Yisrael, bei miknei Mitzrayim. V'lo yomos mikol livnei Yisrael dov. I never thought about this possibly before. It says nothing, not one thing of the Bnei Yisrael will die. V'lo yomos, it doesn't say mikol miknei Bnei Yisrael, all the Jewish animals. Nothing will die. Now death has different meanings. If you smash a keli, you've killed it. If you smash a window, you've killed it. Yeah? Death we associate with live beings, but it's not. Anything which is broken and can no longer be used for its tafkid is broken. Says the Medrash, nothing broke. While this plague was going on, nothing broke anything. Not only the animals, but nothing broke. I'll read out the words. Amazing words. Magid HaKosov. Shaloi nizoku, no damage. Shaloi nizoku Yisrael ba kol ikka. Who adin lekulav. Lo yomos mikol livnei Yisrael dova. Kama plois osalon HaKadosh Baruch Hu Makos Dever. Number one, pestilence. A livestock dying doesn't stop. It doesn't differentiate. But no Jewish animals are going to die. He says, he said, nothing in the property of a Jew got damaged in that time. Their kelim didn't break. Said no plants withered. No trees died. Not one stone fell out of their houses because harisa, a broken wall, you've killed the wall. Afloi rot of Baaleim, no hunger, nothing. Afloi dag echema, not even worry. This is an amazing thing. When you worry, while you're worried about something, you're basically just killing yourself. You know that? Because the body goes into stress and everything associated with it. Worry is a terrible, terrible thing. That's why bitachon is the only cure for it. It's an emotion of the heart. Worry is an emotion, but it affects everything. With constant worry, eventually a person goes diabetic. The body goes in panic mode, and eventually it sticks, and it ruins the body. So he said, there wasn't any worry, there's nothing to worry about. He says, Shahadaiga kriyim misa. Worries is also a form of death. Nothing untoward happened to Klal Yisrael amongst this. Now there's a chazal. So what happened was, so they all died. So Paro, in his great attempt to try and disprove Moshe Rabbeinu, made a census. Every Egyptian farmer was checked. They sent people around. Did any Jewish cattle die? And the message came back for every farmer, no, only ours died. Now, this is very interesting. Because I'll say there was one animal in Egypt, which there was a shutfus between a Mitzri and a Yid. So he didn't die. So one farmer said, yeah, one of mine didn't die. And Paro said, that's proof, it's not true what Moshe said. And he used that as his excuse. Quite incredible. He's proved the Makos was really true. Every Egyptian farmer said, Gegangen. Well, one farmer had one shutfus, and Paro said, that's enough. People looking for excuses, that's all you need. A very, very small, thin, shallow excuse. That's how human beings work. So the Makos says, finishes off, Vayishlach Paro, he checked it out, I should say echad. So ad echad is ad, v'lo ad bichlal. There was one exception, but Chazal say there was a partnership on it. But that was enough. He said Paro hardened his heart and wouldn't send them. And this is now the 5th time he's done it, and now a big change happens. Paro's Bechira is now taken away, which we're going to see in the next 2 Makos. His Bechira was taken away, and now it starts changing over to Hashem starts hardening his heart. Pari really had enough and was really battered into submission, but he only wanted to say go because he didn't want to get hit again, didn't want to listen to Hashem, just didn't want to get another makkah. Because Shwalbe said that's not good enough now. You've got to say go because I said go. You don't want to do that, we'll carry on another 5 rounds of this fight, and then you'll learn your lesson once and for all. Okay, so we'll stop there, and Be'ez Hashem, carry on tomorrow.
Thank you.